Volvo Penta 4.3 V6 failure analysis. What year is it again? I'm sorry. 2006. Fuel injected engine, throttle body, port injected. Fuel injectors down here. Gentleman bought the boat, paid a premium price for it. Boat is beautiful inside and out. Even the engine is pretty. But after a short run, or a few runs, I don't know, he got an engine failure. Yeah, he was able to identify a major problem, and that is that it has a hole in the oil pan. Right there. There's a hole. Now that's the number 2 connecting rod that looks like it's let go, so it broke a rod and let the rod go. So we've been asked to remove this engine and find out why it failed, and he's got an aftermarket warranty that we are hopeful they'll cover this. If he bought that warranty when he bought the boat, then they should cover it regardless, of what's going on. So at first glance at this engine, I noticed that the riser gaskets were a different color. That's the gasket, that's a gray gasket. That's the port side. The starboard side is a red gasket. I removed the spark plugs and suspected water ingestion into the number 2 cylinder, and I found water on the number 2 spark plug, soaking wet. These are the spark plugs. They've moved the plugs, so I don't know which one it was, but you can see I had water on number 2 and number 3 cylinders, and that will share through the intake manifold. I started to disassemble it. We're going to remove the intake manifold, see if the intake manifold has rotted away underneath the thermostat housing in the front passage. They're bad about that. They can get a rotted hole internally. This engine looks really clean, so I don't suspect it's rot. But as I started to remove the exhaust manifolds to lessen the weight on the stand and just make it safer and to do some more analysis, when I removed most of these bolts, I still have one bolt in. As you can see, the other bolts are removed. I noticed that the bolts are a different color. Okay, so the starboard manifold has shiny bolts, a different colored gasket. This manifold looks relatively new. Also, I see these brass fittings like this. So I'm assuming that somebody has replaced this manifold. And my guess is that there was a water ingestion problem from this manifold into that number 2 cylinder prior. Somebody repaired it. The engine probably had a vibration, and possibly the technician or whomever knew it or didn't know it, sold the boat to somebody else knowingly or unknowingly. And after some short run time, the bent connecting rod fatigued and broke and let go on the number 2 cylinder. Now we're going to remove the intake manifold off of this, the exhaust manifold, and anything else we deem necessary to assess what's going on. But to me, it looks like that's exactly what happened at this point. And, in my opinion, there shouldn't be any reason a warranty company shouldn't cover it. It's unknowing. The buyer did not know. So we're going to investigate this a little further and go from there. But this really, it's tragic, a beautiful boat. And if somebody did this kind of shoddy workmanship and then just sold the boat, we got a real problem with this world and people taking advantage of each other. We're all brothers and sisters, okay? And ripping each other off is not the way to get ahead. So I'll report back with some more findings if necessary, but other than that, this one's going to need rebuilt. The good news is it probably is not a bad core. You could probably get a sleeve put in it and a new crankshaft, a new connected rod, of course a full rebuild and reassembled, and at least that would save him probably $400 to $700 on a core charge. The engine itself is probably $3,000 to $4,000, and the labor from there, it's a pretty expensive bill. So let's hope that the warranty company takes care of it like they should, and we'll go from there. One last thing, be careful when you're buying a new boat or a used boat. Get it to a shop and let the shop do an inspection. Find a reputable shop. There's many of them out there, and find somebody that can do an inspection, because if I were to inspect this boat for a potential buyer, I would have noticed that looking closely over the engine, the discolored gaskets, and I would have said, hey, wait a minute, there might be a problem. It was some water ingestion. If the engine was running smooth, then I would have said it's probably fine. But I would almost bet you every last dollar I have that this engine had a small vibration in it. And maybe just, somebody that's not a mechanic didn't know. So be careful. Get your new purchase checked out by somebody reputable. Spend $150, $250, whatever it's going to cost. We charge $150 to check boats out. And man, it can save you a lot of trouble. Thanks for watching.